C.J. Meadows and Charvi Parikh, The Design Thinking Workbook, Essential Skills for Creativity and Business Growth. What do Amazon, Improv, and Castle High School in Hawaii have in common? Well, all three have used or do use a design thinking or DT processor technique to achieve their goals. Improv includes games like story wording, where a group tells a story together by saying one word per person, one after the other. This can be a great team-building activity, as well as one to help loosen the mind and open it to possibilities in the creative phases of DT. Castle High School conducted a needs study, design-based thinking, to co-develop better educational programs and improve student achievement. And you'll hear a story about Amazon's design thinking later in this blink. But why should you incorporate design thinking into your company, team, or personal project? Well, you're right to wonder. Transitioning to a design thinking approach takes time and effort, after all. But the end results are well worth it. A study in 2018 found that design-focused companies grew at double the pace of the rest of their industry. And if that's not enticing enough, consider this. Those design-focused companies realized shareholder returns of up to 75% higher than their industry. That's right, up to 75% higher returns from using a design thinking process. And a study in 2013 by the Design Management Institute found that design-focused companies performed 228% better than the S&P index for 10 years in a row. There are many more such studies, but you've probably already got the picture. This is an incredibly useful skill to cultivate, especially in the professional world. The Design Thinking Workbook focuses mostly on business applications of design thinking, or DT. But you can also apply this approach to personal problems. This blink focuses on the corporate applications of DT, but as you learn tips and tricks, think about how they might also be helpful in a personal setting. First, we'll learn about the author's design thinking methodology. Then delve into some of the foundational skills and tools and techniques you'll find helpful as you begin using this DT process. So, what is design thinking? Think about the last failures you faced on a team project. Communication issues, creativity issues. Were you focused on the right problem, or did you have to reorient after you'd already done a bunch of work? These are the kinds of failures DT helps prevent. So, what exactly is DT, or design thinking? Basically, it's a human-focused approach to problem solving meant to help you figure out what the real problem is and solve the issue in creative, innovative ways meant to both benefit all stakeholders and increase business growth. Though there are several DT methodologies, the one Meadows and Parikh use focuses on a 6-step method: challenge, observe, understand, envision, solve, and prototype. First, you define the challenge, the problem you need to solve. It can be difficult to clarify, but it's an important step in the process. You don't want to get months or even years into a project only to discover you've been working on the wrong issue the entire time. Next, you observe the people who might be having the problem you're trying to address. In this step, you observe what your target users or clients do, how they act, and what behaviors they engage in. The third step is to understand the behaviors your targets engage in. This step is deeply concerned with the whys behind target users' actions, the motivations they have, and the goals they're pursuing. Sometimes this includes results they're trying to avoid. The fourth step is to envision a solution or future. This involves dreaming up how you want things to end up. Are you looking to make something easier for a user? Are you trying to create an enjoyable experience, a calming experience? What do you want users' behaviors or experiences to look like in the future as opposed to what they look like now? A key thing to keep in mind at this stage is that it's easier to tame a wild idea than to make a mediocre idea truly wonderful. So dream big. The penultimate step is to solve. This is where brainstorming and other techniques for generating creative ideas come into play. It also involves making key design decisions, focusing on ideas for bridging the gap between the current issue or situation and the future that you envisioned in the previous step. The final step of the DT process is to prototype. Once you decide on a solution to pursue, you'll prototype and experiment to see whether the solution is feasible and how well it fits the needs of your users. You'll probably need at least a few rounds of prototyping as you learn more about your users and your proposed design. Once you find the best solution, you can scale up. Of course, this isn't always a linear process. As you engage in DT projects, you might find yourself repeating some of the steps. That's totally normal and an expected part of the process. You just need to stay focused and open as you keep working toward the best solution. As with most things, a DT approach isn't the best choice for every situation. DT is a human-centered mindset. So if you're looking to solve a problem that's unrelated or just not centered on humans, this isn't the approach you'd want. For example, if you were trying to solve the problem of a storm snapping electrical wires or of a fence shifting because of erosion, DT probably wouldn't be too helpful. Then again, sometimes we think something's a technical problem when really it's a human one, or vice versa. The methodology DT uses to clarify an issue and find the root cause of a problem can help figure out which type of problem you're addressing. For example, a new manager found himself with a stack of complaints about the elevators in the 30-story building. Each complaint centered on how slow the elevators were. So, which type of problem is this? Human or technical? Take a moment to think about it, then we'll move on to learning some foundational skills needed for DT. And don't worry, we'll come back to the elevator problem in a bit.